All right, good morning, folks. Grown black folks on the climb, and we are sitting at the same statue, but we are on the other side here in beautiful Golden Gate Park. We are on the northern side, and this is the view from the northern side. It's a slow Saturday morning for everybody, but those of us who are out trying to beat the rain and get it in. So I'm out, but I've actually stopped here because I want to talk relatively quickly because it's trying to rain and electronics and such in the rain. All right, now that's back on I'll give you a nice panorama. I'm going to sit down right here. Ooh, okay, so this is a nice place. You can kind of watch I don't know if you can see it. Beautiful yellow-headed little bird. Probably have to zoom in a lot, and I don't know how to do that, but that's what's flitting around in front of you. Anyway, we'll just leave the camera here for a second. And beyond, it's gone. Well, beyond that, you can see the people moving through the park. And those of us who are trying to get it in before it rains are already out here. All right, so I'm going to put this right here. It's a nice place. I want to talk to you about something of importance today. How not to invite chaotic people into your life. We talked in the previous mini-series about how not to descend into the permanent underclass, about the necessity of understanding where you stand is part number one. I talked about the history of America and how we are not a society that acknowledges collective responsibility. So you're on your own. This is how people have been socialized. But I did say that the nature of the country, because of how it was founded and the men that founded it, do provide you the opportunity for the pursuit of whatever it is. So if you have life, and you can pursue. Even our black ancestors were able to pursue their freedom and found help to do this from strangers after they had gotten out. A lot of people who were former slaves helped them. It's not, let me just make that very clear. This is something Harriet Tubman, from what I understand, wanted us to know about, that all the numbers of black people that helped all along the path. So, but there were people who were not in the same situation were able to help people out. And so oftentimes, you may not have your circle around you as content where they are. Harriet Tubman said as many as 7 out of 10 slaves that she encountered, she couldn't free. They didn't know they needed to be. Because she said, you freed 300. They said that I could have freed 1,000. They had known that they were slaves. So that's 700 that didn't, 7 out of 10. That's where that number comes from. So you're not always going to get the help from people around you. Okay? And as you are vetting new people and as you are inviting new people into your life, there's some things you need to watch out for because you don't want to invite the same kind of people that are going to hold you back. Let's go back to where you stand. There are a lot of people around you in every community, but this is grown black folks talk. So there is a remarkable number of black men and an equally remarkable number of black women who are delusional. The country we live in is in a mass delusion, and it has been for a long time. A free country that holds other human beings as slaves. That's a fairly high level by itself. And that fiction persisted for 246 years. Well, if you count it from the Declaration of Independence, that fiction persisted 89 years, and then throw on another 80 years of Jim Crow with it. So that fiction persisted for a very long time, but it was based on a fact. And the fact is that the original United States Constitution does not contemplate citizenship for anyone but landowning white males, largely Anglo-Saxon with some Germans. But if you know your history, the Angles and the Saxons are both from regions in Germany. So if you were not a property-owning white male, this country designed nothing for you. So that was a delusion, at least based on a fact. It was also based on another fact. If you study Greco-Roman mythology, and to a certain extent Norse mythology as well, since we're dealing with Northern Europeans, there is this assumption that if you uphold all your responsibilities, in this case, running the entire planet and the universe, then you are allowed certain liberties. The Greek gods are allowed to destroy mankind at will. They are allowed to sleep with the women, even married women, and cuckold their husbands and make those husbands raise their children. They are allowed to do those things because they are upholding their responsibilities elsewhere. They are providing provision and protection and advancement to their adherents. This assumption is what allows men of a certain stature throughout American history to have the delusion that their moral failings in private have absolutely nothing to do with their public lives and fitness to serve. This is why, until very recently, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, George Washington were accorded the privilege of us not following them to their houses and asking about the black bodies held in cruel bondage. It is an assumption that if a man provides for himself, his family, his community, in European thought, we will overlook, because it's what has to happen. A man has to relieve his stress somehow. This is the assumption given by the religions that these people practiced. And remember, the Romans, with the Greek culture they had taken with them, conquered the European world and some distance beyond it, but they certainly conquered Europe and brought this idea. And when the Enlightenment came, which is essentially the European secular answer to the Reformation on the Christian side, they brought this idea back with them about how to be a man who is respected and allowed all of his sins at the same time. You can reach demigod status and carry all your sins with you. Now, further back in history, consider this. Let's go back to Kemet, or ancient Egypt. The pharaoh was the son of Ra, and for all intents and purposes, Ra was the sun god. So essentially, he's the son of God, in essence. So whatever Pharaoh wanted to do, he could do that. If he wanted to tell a city full of people to get up and move, and start a temple somewhere else in order to increase the worship, he can do this. But remember, he is the son of someone that has to get up every morning and power the entire planet, and he is responsible for the state of an entire nation. So again, yes, he's going to have a harem. Yes, he's going to have access to do anything he wants to anybody he pleases within the sphere of Egypt power. But again, he's going to provide provision, protection, and advancement to his own family, to his nation. We have a group of people living today that have this idea that you are supposed to be allowed all the privileges while providing nothing of provision, protection, and advancement to anyone around you. This is especially bad in men right now in the black community. Especially bad. Because on one hand, if you tell me that you are oppressed and prevented from being able to provide, protect, and provide advancement among those provisions, but then you model yourself after the men that are supposedly stopping you from doing it, and that you want their sinful privileges, that's a high level of delusion. Now, in all fairness, however, you also have to look at the fact that women enable this. And that's a level of delusion. You cannot love a bad man to goodness. That is a delusion. It has never happened in world history. If it could be done, it would have been done long before now. But at this moment, black women are dying every 6 hours in the black community. Meaning that the men who are supposed to be over the community are not providing the provision, the protection, and the advancement of the community. And we are responsible for enabling this. As I said on Themis and Thoth yesterday, shout out to Themis, there's not that much difference between a bottom, B-I-T-C-H, and a slave mistress. The only difference is how much money she gets to spend. If you are the kind of woman that will put up with the okie doke in the hopes of receiving the protection of a bad man who has no ability nor desire, but he wants to feel like he can have a position, you are perpetuating the problem. I don't talk about relationships per se. What I want you to know is that you can neither have men nor women like that in your life, because all of these people want to be handed the privileges, and they do not want to do the work that goes with the advancement. At least President and Mrs. Washington had gotten the nation to what was necessary for there to be a nation. We can give them that. At least James Madison put an amendment process in that Constitution so that I could sit here eventually and be a citizen. At least Thomas Jefferson did put down that all men were created equal, so that later on all black people had to do was show, yeah, we're human too, so cut it out. We need to be free. We need to have citizenship rights. At least they accomplished something. They did build, all these people working together built a nation. But there are a lot of people that don't want to build or maintain, nurture, and build up anything that are going to come into your life and bring chaos. Because handing them anything of importance is like handing an addict money to go get his or her next fix. They don't want to be good, they want to feel good. And they will grind down any and everything you provide them on the altar of their lust. Now, for our Sunday school lesson tomorrow, I'm going to talk about the class of sins that this comes from. We're going to go all the way back to Adam and Eve. Yes, we've all heard this story, those of us who went to Sunday school, but there's a lot of things there. I tell people the first sins are the last sins, and they still are. Why are these chaotic people wrecking your life, both around you and those you might be deceived by and invite in? We'll talk about how you get deceived, and we're talking about why they will wreck you. Because essentially, they are attempting to prove that they are more like God, more worthy of that admiration than you are, and they're not even willing to come up to the Greco-Roman standard, to say nothing of the Egyptian standard, of how you actually get that level of respect. This is enough for right now. I want this to go up today, and so we're going to stop it right here. Thank you for your time, and again, things you need to watch out for. Chaotic people will come into your life and want to be put on a pedestal. They want to be up here, but they have no intention of doing anything but taking the labor that you were doing to climb and grounding it under, like an addict with some money to go buy their fix. These kind of people want to be admired. They don't want to do any work. And if they're not literally living like this, then they may be enabling this kind of lifestyle. Avoid them. Cut them out of your life. Your life, your liberty, and your pursuit of happiness depends on it. All right. Y'all have a good day. Thank you for watching. Oh, shout out to all the new subscribers. Welcome.